On today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a pedal. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel. Click on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry. In this case, we went to our friends at Zzounds and we got another warm audio product in. We got the Warm Audio C1 Chorus Vibrato. And it is a really nice pedal as we're going to get into it tonight.
Yeah, based on the
CE1, the very famous CE1, which I did a quick perusal of reverb. The cheapest one I saw was like $690.
Right. This is not that.
This is not.
How much is
This is $189.
$189. All right, so pretty cool pedal, built like a tank. I mean, it's I like that. I like, big heavy pedal.
You might not have to use Velcro. It'll just sit there.
Sit there. So you have, this is interesting because you have an on-off button on the left side. I believe it's floating right above my head right now. And then on the other side, you have a button that switches between chorus and tremolo. Vibrato. Thank you.
Yep.
Wrong series. And then you have a depth and a rate for the chorus. And you have a depth and a rate for the vibrato. You have an overall level button. And then there's a couple other buttons we'll get into later when we start twisting knobs and showing you all the features. I think it's cool because you can set up a totally different chorus and vibrato. We might have done something like that later in the episode and switch between them. There's no ramp between them, but we'll talk about that later in the episode. The big question, how's it sound?
Yeah, so on this chorus series that we're keep talking about, it's this actual series that'll get more features as we go along, perhaps.
Maybe that's
the way to say it. I grabbed the Silver Sky SE, which could be any number of pedals. But for this, I've been trying to play this guitar through the DLS Echo Tour, and we were playing stereo through the Tyler JT22 and the Fender Hot Rod. Through the star of the show, I did the chorus, and I've been trying to play this little ditty every time, so at some point you can compare the sounds, and here it is.
For my first clip, I grabbed this American Stratocaster, 60th anniversary, played it again through the Tyler and the Fender Hot Rod. The DLS of Echo Tour, I think, is only on the Tyler, so you probably only hear that probably your right ear. Mm-hmm. We haven't obviously mixed it yet. So anyway, this is on the chorus setting, and kind of, if I remember correctly, a slower rate, kind of higher depth. Mm-hmm. And I have no intentions in playing this in every chorus episode, but I think I have so far. That was not the intention, though. Here you go. So we're at the part of the video where we like to turn knobs. In this pedal, set up pretty cool. We mentioned it before. You have a chorus side, which is the red side, and then you also can hit that button. You have the vibrato side on the blue side. What's cool is they've given you a rate and a depth for both of those. So you have an independent rate and depth for chorus, independent rate and depth for vibrato. We're going to ignore the level button, the high and low switch, and the Z switch on the back for now. We'll just pretend like they don't exist, but we'll come back to this. I think where we want to start is running through the depth knob. So we're going to run the whole depth knob. We'll back it off, run the whole speed knob, and then we'll max them both out so you can hear both max just for the chorus setting. And then after that, we'll come back and do the vibrato. Pat, The pedal's off, so you could give us a reference tone through what? We're just the Tyler JT22 right now. We've unplugged. It was hard.
It was. We started in stereo and stripped back to mono.
Everything else is in stereo, but we pulled back to mono for this.
All right.
I was gonna back the speed knob off, or the rate, the depth knob off before we did the rate, but I don't feel like this chorus where the depth gets like out of control.
It doesn't.
So it was all right leaving it up. I think on the vibrato I'll have to back that down a little bit before we run the speed knob. You want to do the vibrato?
Let's do it. Oh.
Good. Yeah. Oh, I know what I want to do. I want to roll the speed all the way down, leave the speed all the way up. We can get those kind of whatever. And just have you play a chord or two, and then we switch between the chorus at the slowest speed or at the fastest speed rate and the vibrato at the fastest rate. I'm blown away by this. I feel like the chorus goes from here to here, and then the vibrato starts here and goes the rest of the way.
Right.
It's like they're both on the same pot, and half of it's to one, half is the other or something.
That's a good way to describe it.
That doesn't make sense because they have... So I don't know. Maybe somebody knows something about like the circuit design or whatever. Because again, this is modeled after the first Boss.
Yeah, what the CE1 was, which is kind of the Roland Jazz Chorus amp, everything. It's all goes way back.
Yeah.
This is always an enhanced version of that, true to the original, but some enhancements to it.
Yeah. So I wonder if it has something to do with that. I don't know. I don't know that I get that. I know that I've never been a big fan of vibrato until we started doing this course series. I'm starting to like it a little bit more, starting to get it. But I always liked it kind of like where you can make it almost as slow as possible. So it's just like this little movement, and you can't do that. That's your slow speed.
Right.
And so I know in the clip I did coming up, I cranked it all the way.
You didn't fight City Hall. You're like, well, it doesn't work this way. I'm going to turn it that way.
Right. So, yeah. Three other little interesting tidbits here. You'll notice the level knob. We have it just over noon. It's pushing it. I want to show you something with the level knob. If I turn the pedal off, right? So we bypass the pedal. And I get Pat to play for a second. So that level knob is kind of out of the chorus and vibrato circuit. Right. So that's always there. And then next to that's a low-high switch, which you do a better job of explaining what the low and the high do, I think.
Well, just because I read something, they're basically saying that when it's in the low, the way that the tonally and the way it may or may not push the amp is more like a 70s style chorus. If you flip it up into the high, it pushes a little bit harder. But in some ways, if you compensate with the volume, it makes it more of a clean, bright chorus. They compared it to the 70s and the 80s.
So I think it is the switch is startling. Like if you don't know what it does, you pull it out of the box and plug it in. You flip the switch. We'll show you.
Yes, right.
If you want to play a little bit,
and then we'll adjust it to where it probably should be.
I'll turn it on some chorus.
Sorry, play while you're talking.
I'll turn it on some chorus, and I'll flip the switch. The big difference.
But now I wonder if you turn that back to like 11.
Right.
I think it's probably where you're headed, but I all of a sudden became the producer. Look at me. That pure volume alone brings a little top in and pushes the amp just a little bit. It is definitely brighter.
The one thing I wonder though, since that level affects the amp whether it's on or off, so now if you go to high and pull the level back, you're not going to be hitting the amp as hard. Or whoa, does the level affect the amp whether it's on or off? I think it does.
It did because then you turn it down.
Well, it's on right now. What if we turn it off and you play? So yeah, that's affecting the amp too. So it would just be a matter of, I guess you would get that set where you want for your amp.
Yeah, you're not going to switch it on the fly.
Right. You're going to set that up, get the volume of your amp set up. There's another switch on the back, a high Z, low Z switch. He read it to me. I read it earlier. He read it to me 3 or 4 times. I'm not certain I really know what it does other than like high Z, it says good for guitar. Done, check. Okay, that's where I need to be.
Right.
Low Z. I can flip the switch while he plays. You can hear there's a little bit of difference there.
Right.
Something to do with,
go ahead.
Something to do with pickups and independence and impedance and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the same idea when you use a direct box.
Okay. All right. So it's there. I think that's all of the features, right?
Yeah.
Pat said, do you want to try and You asked me if I wanted to try and get that Leslie sound earlier.
No, I did, because that's something we like to do with anything that modulates.
Then he was like, well, since you can set it up, of course, and vibrato differently. Mm-hmm. And guess which one we use for the fast? Right? So yeah, so we set up a vibrato with a fast speed, set up a chorus with a slow speed, played the riff from that Leslie sound using the PRS DGT with a Porter pickup, split in the neck, and there's no ramp.
Right.
But
however, ...
Yeah, I mean, how did you feel about that? Like, then you feel, I felt like there was a perceived ramp when I was listening to it a little bit.
I agree, and we can let them decide too. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it was like,
You saying play the clip instead of talking about it?
No, you could.
Here you go.
For my next and final clip, every time we've tried a chorus pedal, I've tried to put some level of drive on it. This time I did it on the vibrato side, and I picked the Keeley 4-in-1 Blues Disorder, and I always like to use the hybrid section, so the tone is the OC and the drive is the BB. Not a terrible amount of drive, it dirtied it up, and I tried to play something like this.
For my last clip, I stuck with this DGT, and this is the clip. I've already kind of explained it. The clip with the vibrato mode had the speed all the way up. The vibrato, the depth wasn't really high, but the speed was all the way up. And I played this. All right, that was the Warm Audio WA-C1 Chorus Vibrato pedal. Good stuff from Warm Audio. Final thoughts?
I was kind of anxious to get this in. I said before, I didn't have the CE2 because I like features, so I have a CE3, but I knew it all was built off of this. So I was really anxious to get one in, and I don't have $690 laying around, so we didn't get a new one, an old one in, but at $189, that's pretty nice. I do like some of the features. Like you said, you can have chorus and vibrato completely separate from each other. You can set them completely different. You can toggle live between them. That's kind of unique. I found this to be, and what they kind of alluded to it earlier, a very usable vibrato for me, because I like things that warble, but I don't like things that warble that much. But this one had some very usable ranges in it for me personally. Probably could have explored the high-low a little bit more, because I do like sort of the 80s real spanky sound, but you could kind of hear it a little bit when we manipulated that. There's a lot to it. Stereo in and out, I believe, right?
Definitely stereo out.
I should keep my comments to myself unless I've done my research. But
I'm seeing
right.
No, I think it's
1 in and 2 outs.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's how much I run stereo. But we started by playing it in stereo, which it did sound really good in stereo. It didn't sound bad in mono, but my ears had heard that glorious lusciousness, for the first hour and a half down here. It's a great pedal. They do a great job, as I kind of alluded to earlier, taking the original, paying homage to it. It's a Bucket Brigade chip. It's a complete analog preamp section, everything all to that. But then they put little nuances and twists in it, which they have a extra. One of the knobs is extra that didn't have on the original, and you can split the two independently and switch back and forth. So I liked it, and it's not. You can see it's very much the form factor of the CE1, but probably, I don't know, 2/3 of the size. It's not. Those CE ones were pretty big.
Really? I think I'm imagining. So we've been doing this channel for a while now, and we've had a lot of pedals go through. But there's things. I mean, there's obviously things we don't know, and I'm probably, even after shooting this video, going to research that whole volume setup a little bit more, because it presents, I think, some interesting possibilities. First of all, where do you put a chorus pedal in your chain? Like a vibrato, like a vibe pedal, like a uni-vibe pedal, maybe even a phaser I might put before my drives. Definitely uni-vibe. The chorus I like after the drive, so that's putting kind of a boost, a potential boost. It's not even a boost. It's this weird volume knob that you can hit the level of your amp with, whether the pedal's on or off, kind of later in the chain. And so I wonder if there's something with that feature there that make people love that pedal beyond just the great sounding chorus. If there's a thing there that I just haven't run into and don't know yet. So maybe I'll look back on this video and go, man, you were an idiot. Why were you saying that? Because, I'll find out and wow, we should have known that before we recorded it. I'm sure somebody will tell us in the comments we should have known that. If there is this magical thing that we missed, somebody will tell us in the comments that we're idiots and we should have picked up on it. If they do, I'm just going to write, thank you. Well, I'm going to put the time tag for this section in the video. Thanks. All right. So, other than that, I really like the way the chorus sounded. I like the range on the chorus. I like the speed. I'm still a little weirded out by the speed. I'm like, why can't I get full range on both? But that could be a thing. And maybe that's one of the things that makes the pairing pedal endearing that I haven't experienced yet. I thought the vibrato sounded really good.
It did.
Too. Even though I couldn't get quite as slow as I wanted, I really liked the way the vibrato worked. So anyway, I think at the end of the day, cool pedal. So, anything else to add?
Warm audio makes great stuff.
Yeah, so far. I mean, the stuff that we've had, we had the Centavo down here. I feel like we had another one, but I don't think we did. I know there's several other ones we want.
Right. That is true.
So that could be the issue. So anyway, yeah. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for hitting the subscribe button, clicking the notification bell, hitting the like button. Anytime you do those things, that's what helps us interact with cool companies like Warm Audio, or in this case with Zzounds, to get cool stuff in to share with you. And we appreciate that help. So with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of The Beard, reminding no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.